Combat racing games have seemingly been attempted by everyone. Mario, Sonic, even the Burger King has taken a crack at the genre. Well, now it's Bizarre Creations' turn. And these former Project Gotham racing developers have brought something completely different to the table that is sure to turn the entire genre upside down. The first thing you'll notice with Blur is how different it looks. Even though the graphics may not win any awards for their technical prowess, the art style more than makes up for it with stylized lighting and effects. Not to mention that the slight imperfections are hard to notice at such high speeds. This unique art style makes Blur different from any other combat racing game out there. You certainly won't find any go-karts or mushroom kingdoms here. Instead, the game boasts an impressive 55 licensed cars, trucks, and vans to blast your way through over a dozen tracks based on real-life locations. These tracks consist of a wide variety of locales, and because each one has multiple paths for you to take, they stay fresh even after you've already played through them several times. But to be honest, the true star here is the gameplay. As we've come to expect from these types of games, standard racing is enhanced with power-ups that can be used to gain the edge over your opponents. The power-ups themselves are relatively simple, but there's a certain level of strategy needed in the way you use them. In Blur, each vehicle has a health meter, and it takes a lot more than one power-up to derail your opponents. This forces you to save your power-ups till just the right moment, and to use them in combination with one another to have the most effect, and to help you gain the most fans. Fans are Blur's version of a kudos system, which rewards you for stylish driving such as drifts, jumps, and using power-ups, and are also used to unlock vehicles as you progress through the game. The simple yet still somehow complex gameplay of Blur is extremely fun, and a perfect example of easy to learn, hard to master. The career mode in Blur has you travel across the world to compete against each region's top drivers. Each area has 6 events which consist of standard races, as well as checkpoint events which have you racing against the clock, and destruction events which have you earn points by destroying the other vehicles. The checkpoint and destruction events are enjoyable and a nice change of pace, but the real fun comes from the races. In addition to the obvious goal of finishing each event in first place, there are also secondary goals such as fan targets, which require you to earn a set number of fans during the event, and fan runs, where you go through a series of gates within an allotted time. Completing each goal earns you lights, which unlock new regions for you to compete in.
You've gained access to City Slickers. These events are owned by Cant.
Each region also has a top rival, which you can race against one-on-one to earn their car and vehicle mod. In order to compete against each rival, you must first meet their demands. But unfortunately, the demands are often more challenging than the actual one-on-one event, which makes the boss battle that you've built up to seem a bit anticlimactic. There's also a lack of presentation to the overall experience. Even though each top rival is different, and according to the game has a unique style and personality, none of that ever shows through. The game doesn't even have separate voice actors for the different rivals, opting instead to use a single narrator to tell you just a snippet of information about each area.
Crash and burn. And here, Drake calls the shots.
Separate voice actors, or perhaps even cutscenes before the one-on-one challenges, would have really made the overall career mode a lot more believable. But without any of that, it just seems like a rushed way to add a story. Which is a shame since the game underneath it is so good. It's the equivalent of buying someone an iPod for Christmas and wrapping it in a cheeseburger wrapper. Luckily though, the lack of presentation doesn't take a whole lot away from the overall fun of the game, and the amount of content in the career mixed with the game's addictive nature could easily keep you playing for hours at a time. Although Blur is a great single-player experience, where you will truly get your money's worth is the multiplayer. The multiplayer in Blur can be most easily described as Call of Duty with cars. Noob tubes and spawn kills aside, all the aspects of Call of Duty multiplayer seem to be here. The fan system from the career mode is used as a level system, which unlocks new cars and events as you progress. There are also challenges that require you to use specific cars or power-ups to unlock custom paint schemes and mods for your vehicles. And mods are Blur's version of perks, which either enhance certain power-ups or build up your defenses. Comparing it all to Call of Duty may seem like a cop-out, but it really is the best way to describe it. There are basically two types of online events: standard races and motor mash events, which are all-out brawls where you gain points by taking out the other drivers. Both game types support up to 20 players and can be played either alone or with a team. All of this adds up to a multiplayer experience that is by far the deepest I've ever seen in a racing game. And of course, it doesn't hurt that the game is just plain fun to play with your friends online. The events are fast-paced and chaotic, and they somehow manage to stay fun even when you're far from first place. Overall, Blur is definitely the best racing game I've played in a long time. With as much content as it has, it's definitely worth every penny at full price. And with its addictive nature and a persistent reward system that will keep you playing for hours on end, we could easily be looking at the Racing Game of the Year for 2010. If Mario Kart and Project Gotham Racing had a baby, and it was raised by Uncle Call of Duty, it would be named Blur. And in all honesty, it's one great-looking kid that any self-respecting racing game fan would love to adopt. For the latest video game reviews, money-saving promotions, and to learn about upcoming Gamer Lounge events, visit thegamerlounge.net.